Hi everyone, I'm Danielle and this is Hogan Live. Welcome. We are talking today about teaching reading. Honestly, I believe that teaching your own child or perhaps any child to read is one of the most rewarding things you will do. It is also, perhaps, one of the most terrifying. There's this weight, okay, the buck stops with me now. I'm the responsible party. So I want you to get through this video thinking and knowing that you can do it. It's actually not difficult and it's actually going to be fun. Now I have 7 kids and I am on my 6th child teaching them to read. He is 5. So you have a word. Let's call it mat. A word because of course that's what we see as adults knowing how to read when we look at these cards. But what's so important is recognizing that this is not a word, but rather 3 letters that each have an individual sound. Now I know that we've all taught our kids the ABC song because it's like such an accomplishment when your kid actually knows his ABCs. Good, great. But what would be of more value is if the ABC song went with the sounds because that would actually be practical. A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N. That might be a little troublesome there. But I have thought that if our kids learned sounds first, it would just be an easier transition. Now, flashcards are a great way to do this. Most of us all have flashcards. And you can start by just every day going quickly through the sounds. I actually just have a sheet. It's easier for me and it's not so easily lost. So even before your child knows that they are going into the process of learning how to read, you can just go through the sounds. A, B, and so on and so on. And you're not doing it slow. You're not even making them repeat after you. You're just getting them familiar with the letters and the sounds. Easy peasy. Now I use this resource. Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons. I love this book and it is not expensive, like $17. And then you have something that is measurable for you and your child. I personally believe that when you're teaching a child to read, your lessons should be very short. So I want them to be reading words as fast as possible because this gives them an inspiration and motivation towards each additional lesson. So I really love this program because it does exactly that. Plus, it's a one-stop shop. This is what you buy. This is what you use. You don't have to purchase anything else. Also, every time I see letters when I'm teaching how to read, I do not refer to them by their name. I refer to them by their sound. So the 2 things I want to give the kids are I want to give them success. And I want to give them something that they can go and talk to someone else about, like their father, like their sibling. That brings me to the second thing that the kids need to know and that you need to know in your reprogramming is that not only do all these letters have a sound, but the sounds blend together. And that is a very valuable exercise that they do in this book. And it doesn't require looking at any words. You're just taking a word and saying, okay, at, okay, tell me what that word is. And they can hear mat. But they have also heard that you've blended sounds together. Mat. You are going into each sound. You're not just making it about an individual sound. At. So they learn to go straight into another sound from the sound that they're saying. And then they can recognize what they're reading so much faster. So after your kids are learning their sounds and know their sounds, I introduced word groups like this. So this is just a practice page for him. It goes in his binder. This is our basket time binder. When the book introduces vowel groupings or consonant groupings like sh, the SH together says sh. When that is introduced, then I will introduce word groupings that have that sound. Fish, wish, dish. So I'm gonna put this in his binder in a protective sheet, but a lot of times I will laminate these sheets so that they don't get ruined and that we can just read them repetitively. The next thing I do as I'm getting along in this book is I will write out the little stories that he's read in his book. So this is a story he read last week. He really liked the story and I wanted him to be able to read it to his dad. So instead of bringing the whole book, I will type out some of the stories and then he can practice reading them whenever he wants. So he's getting familiar, he wants to show off, and he's reading more. This brings me to perhaps one of the single greatest keys in teaching your child to read, and that is consistency. If you do 10 minutes a day, all the time, it is so much better than doing 1 hour, 2 days a week. The way I have this laid out is my husband can do it, my daughter can do it. Sometimes my 9-year-old does the reading lesson with my 5-year-old if I just need a little help in the school day. I always want my children to have a good attitude towards reading. Now, you can't always control it. What you can control is your own attitude about teaching reading. If your attitude is, oh, this is hard, oh, this is so awful, oh, they hate their reading lesson. If your attitude is bad, if it looks like it's just too difficult for you, they're going to take on that attitude. It is going to be difficult for the both of you. So it's mostly the vowels that make words complicated. So I will just write at the top of this book, A, E, I, O, U. Once again, I'm using the sounds. And so I just remind them of the a, e, I, just the sounds. And then when the long vowels are introduced, I do use the little straight line above the vowel to indicate that it's a long vowel sound. That's what this book uses. I don't use all the other symbols. And towards page, I don't know, like 55, those symbols are dropped. However, along with it, I am teaching them the rule. If you have a word, date, D-A-T-E, because there is an E at the end and it is silent, it's sneaky, it makes the A say its name. So it says A. And that way they can see that a lot of times when there's an E at the end, it's making the vowel say its name. So I'm building on every letter has a sound to include my long vowel sounds. And then I am including rules about the vowels. So vowel combinations, E-E, E-A, A-I. And when the E-E is introduced, I just say when two vowels get together, it usually says the name of the first vowel. And so I'm just saying little rules. Now, it is important for you guys as a teacher, as a parent, to get your rules so that you know how to teach them. But you don't have to have a huge phonics program to know this. You can literally Google it and have a sheet of paper that you print out for your own resource. So what do you do when you have a word and it's, where did this word come from? That type of word. There's a lot of them in the English language. And when you're learning to read, everything can be, okay, this is an exception to the rule. Instead, I like to have the kids still sound out the word. Let's say said. You could teach them, okay, this is just a word you have to memorize and you have to memorize all these words. Sure, you can. But what I'm trying to impress upon them is sound out the word. Why? Because later on in life, you're going to be reading words like nincompoop, and you're going to need the capacity to sound it out. Nincomp. And you can if you know how to sound out words. So it doesn't matter if it's huge. It still just sounds. So said. What do you think that says? Said? All right, we sound this word out like said, okay? And it says said. Same with talk, talk. And oftentimes, once they've gone as far as talk, they get to talk. But I'm trying to remain, while I'm teaching them reading, very consistent with this is how we sound out words. So then you can start creating your flashcard situation where you give them vowel or consonant combinations and say, okay, this says ow. AY says A. And their information just keeps growing. So briefly, let me just share what I do when I'm finished with this 100 easy lessons. It is by no means comprehensive. So when you finish the 100 easy lessons, you have given them a foundation for reading. And they're reading long stories like this. Another plug for this book is I love that there are very few pictures and it is not colorful. It is so important when you're teaching reading for the kids to be able to focus on the sounds that make a word and not on the pictures that perhaps they could guess the word by the picture. I mean, hands down, they're always going to try and do that. Which is why if I want to practice words with them, I often will just write my own, or I will write them on the computer and print them out. It's also a reason why I don't need a lot of expensive stuff. Flashcards, note paper. And when I'm done with that, I like to go on to these certain books. These books are the ones my kids love to read. Cat in the Hat. Kids love to read it. Of course, Green Eggs and Ham. I love this book because at the end of this book, they can recognize could and would. All the Arnold Lobel books. Mouse Tales. Frog and Toad. There's just something about the way he writes that is engaging and funny, and the kids love it. When they met, Very Tall Mouse would say, hello, Very Short Mouse, and Very Short Mouse would say, very fun little stories, and my kids love to go to them, okay? There's lots of others, but this is my encouragement to you. Go into books that the kids love, that they want to read, not books that you have chosen because you think they'll be so good. Kids typically know what they like, and they will read better when they're reading what they like. I know you can do it. I want you to have fun teaching your children how to read, and I want you to get through it and say, wow, that was really satisfying. It was really fulfilling. And then, as old as your child gets, if they're still in your home, have them read to you. It's so important to keep your finger on the pulse of where your child is in their reading so you can continue encouraging them to expand. And once they know how to read, they can consume information and they can get knowledge in so many ways and it's fabulous. Subscribe and like this video if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Remember, guys, no one can mom your kids like you.